म्हणायचं ना. वर नाही जात आहे. स्क्रोल नाही होत. Good afternoon. MBA second year, semester 3rd, Human Resources Management Group, Organizational Change and Development. First, unit first, and an overview and introductions to organizational development. Unit second, an introduction to planet changes. Third one, models of changes. Unit 4, process of organizational development. Unit 5, entering contracting and diagnosing organization. Unit 6, designing of interventions. Unit 7, team and group interventions. Unit 8, comprehensive intervention. Unit 9, structural intervention. Unit 10, implementation and assessment of OD. Unit 11, issues and ethics of in consult. Client relationship. Unit 12, future trends in organization development. Introduction stage, small one. In this competitive area and to cope with the various factors in an internal and external environment. And the organization should practically or proactively effect changes in their systems, because without change, the businesses would likely and those their competitive edge. It is all about assessing, analyzing, reviewing, and modifying the management and structures and business processes in order to sustain and grow in the competitions, the businesses, and need to adopt cost effective and efficient methods of doing and the things. There is no need and to resist with the change, because if the organizations fails, and to meet the demands of the market. Surely they will lose their customers. The change drives of any organization include the technology changes, competitive environment, and changing consumer demand, economic conditions, and uh, government policy, etc. The dynamism of the environment have changed and influenced the organization and changed the pattern of working in this the rule of information technology and communications system cannot be ignored. The new business models such as a outsourcing and a virtual collaborations are the outcomes of these and helping organizations to learn a lot in a very short span of time. The role of economic is very important in the situations of change as it can impact organization in both positive and negative ways, which can be stressful. A strong economy clubbed with the increasing demands for a product and services might involve uh, the addition of staff and new facilities, whereas big economic and can create more problem as the organizations have to make very difficult decision and with respect to employees their salaries and jobs. There are government regulations forcing organizations to adopt as per the changing uh, preferences of a consumer. The change is important to in organization as it is allowing the employee and to learn new skills, competences, explore new opportunities, and exercise their creativity in very different, efficient, and effective ways, and that ultimately benefit the organizations through new ideas and increased commitment. It is the duty of top most authorities of the mm, organizations to prepare employees and to deal with the situations and make them ready for the future. And this book, and to understand properly about the various issues and dimensions of change and development is divided into two parts: organizational change and organization development. Organizational change is the first part in the book, and which deals with the overview of change and planned change, the models of change for better understanding of the dimensions of change. And the second part of this covers the process of organization development and various interventions at different levels. At last, the various issues and ethics in a consultant client relationship and future trends have been discussed. The You need to object after reading this unit, and you should be able to understand over overview of organization development and nature, scope, and objectives of organizational development and values and assumptions and a belief in organizational development. There is of organizational development, implementations, and organizational development. First one, defining organizational development. The term of organizational development, OD, refers to a specific set of a change, intervention skill, activities, tools, and or structure. Introductions, unit objects, selected structural intervention, summary, key terms, exercise, and select structural intervention, summary. Selected structural intervention, summary, and key terms, exercise, and questions. Further reading, introductions, structural interventions are those and that are aimed at a changes in a different subsystems of organizations that may be task structure and technological structure intervention include job designs, quality management by bull started and knowledge. A 4D experiment while maintaining and a technique enhancing the organization's integrity and internal integrations, and the element of OD may include finding ways to adopt of the to the changing context. In one was establishing structure and processes and a climate that allow it to effectively manage, and it's important and pressing business example projects, problems, crisis, etc. While giving adequate attentions and to strategic issues, example longer term. Effectively manage, allow to it to effectively manage is important. It's important and for pressing businesses. Example projects, problems, crisis, etc. And while giving adequate attentions to strategic issues, an example long term development and a renewal planning and a visioning, engaging and new opportunities, mm, crisis preventions, etc. The socio-technical uh, term socio-technical and system for STS is a largely associated with the experiments that emerged under the auspices of the Tavistock Institute in Great Britain, and the STS theory, and has two basic permissions. The first one is the effective work system must jointly optimize the relationship between their social and technical parts, and the uh, second permissions premises is the such a system must effectively manage the boundary separating and relating them to the environment, because structure is an integral component of the organization's unit object. After reading this unit, and you should be able to know about how to explain structural interventions and to describe changes in how to the over all the uh, of the organ, each action is divided. Select a structural intervention. Nystrom and Starbuck 1981 have defined structure as the arrangement and inter interrelationship of component parts and positions in an organization structure. OD. Intervention provides guidelines on since our progressive discuss socio-technical and system theory and importance of self-managed terms in this. Division of work into activities. and linkage between different functions and hierarchy and authority structure, authority relationship, and coordinations with the environment. According to the particular requirement of the organization and organizational structures, according to the particular requirements and organizational structures may differ within the same organization. Structures in an organization has a three components. Robbins 1989, complexity, referring unto the degree unto which activities within the organizations are differentiated. These differentiations has their dimension. Horizontal differentiation refers unto the degree and of uh, differentiations between units based on the orientations of members and the nature of tasks they perform and their educations and a training as per the requirement of a job. Vertical different vertical differentiations is the characterized by the number of uh, hier- hierarchical levels in the organization and horizontal differentiation refers to the degree of differentiations between units based on the orientations of members and the nature of tasks they perform and their education and training as per the requirement of job. Vertical differentiation in a characterized by the number of hierarchical levels in the organization and facilitations and a personal of a geographically and distributed socio-technical system STS theory in base it is based on joint optimizations of the social and technological systems of organizations and assumptions of this theory are the boundary between The organization and its environment should be managed in such a way as to allow effective exchange but protection from external uh, disruptions. It's mandatory, and the implementations of STS should be highly participative, and in the creation and development of self-managed terms is an important factor in STS implementation. Creations of a self-managed team. Self-managed teams are created by communing and uh, sorry, communing and worthy threes, Hedges and Murray and Pollock and others. The purpose of creating and self-managed team is providing team and with a grouping of tasks, and that compromises and major unit of the total work and to be performed. Technique training group and members in the multiple skills including team effectiveness skill and declaring to the team many aspects of how the work gets done. Providing a great deal of information and feedback and for the self regulations of quality and productivity and solving the problem of dislocations of first line and supervisors and re compulsory the role of managers with the emphasis on coaching, uh, exciting and coordinating Walton, lawyer, and others. Work redesign their theory suggests that motivation and performance and can be enhanced through reducing jobs to high taken and skill variety and task identity and task significance, autonomy and feedback from the job. Uh, the concept can be extended under to the creations of self-managed and terms and the third party and assistance in the development and monitoring of group norms can be useful. Hackman, an old man, old man. Traditional MBO theory and traditional MBO theory assumes the need for a systematic uh, goal and setting linking the goals of a super superiors to introduce subordinates and that the objectives or targets should be started in quantities and them whenever possible. The goal setting and appraisal should be one on one dialogue between superior subordinate. MBO can vary on an autocratic participative continuing and that that MBO can features a participative team approach and French and a Hallman like Lurt and Fisher quality circles. At least the participative problem and solving versions are based on the assumption that many, if not most, employee willing to work collaboratively in group and settings, both natural work terms and cross and functional terms on a problems on a of product quality and a system effectiveness, and that they can learn to effectively 9.3 summary and the unit covers the structural interventions which the those and that the aimed the changes at changes in different subsystems of organizations that may be task structural technological structural interventions include job designs quality circles management by objectives by objectives boosted by knowledge of OD and experiment. It also covers various selected structure intervention and shows the differences and similarities as well as the overlap between socio-technical systems STS self-managed terms and others as discussed in the unit. Applications are probably properly called OD unto the extent that the latter is true. It is used by mm, the OD participant uh, partitioners, but it is expected that OD label and will not be uh, applied whenever uh, structural interventions are carried out without the attentions to the social system of uh, or to humanistic values. 9 keys term business process and Reengineering BPR. It can be defined as the radical scrutiny, questions, redefinition, and a redesign, uh, redesign of a business and processes with the aim of eliminating all activities not central to the process goal. Uh, retail organizations, these are established within organizations to deal uh, with complex, non-routine, future-oriented problems and or to coordinate um, large-scale system change, quality of work life. Uh, uh, a way of thinking about the people, work, and organization. Uh, Re-engineering and interventions that are focused or uh, dramatically redesigning uh, core business and process. Socio-technical system, considering both the social system, human, and the technical system simultaneously in order to match the technology and the people opti mainly. Exercise and question. Explain TQM appears and to be highly congruent with OD approaches and values. What are self managed and terms and how they are relevant to socio technical system and design. Consider a symptoms of a problem and that exist of existed is the past in an organizations in which you work and which consider a business that the considerable and numerous problems related to operational and process and methods which is the suffering and financial loss as the result. Which approach will be the most appropriate? Why? Further reading. Uh, Coming storms, uh, unit 2, implementations and assessment of OD. Structure introductions, unit objects, objectives, organization assessment, basics, components of assessment of OD and criteria of assessment, measurement, prerequisite of successes of OD and failures in OD efforts, assessment of OD and changes in organizational performances, goal setting, performance appraisal, reward system, impact of OD, and key points of implementations of OD, and summary and key terms, exercise, uh, and questions. Further reading. Introduction. Most of the students studies and did not utilize designs enough the adequately determined the outcomes of the OD process. In present scenario, we do not have a proper tools uh, for assessment of OD. The present underdeveloped state of the art of OD and evaluations demonstrates that a party practitioners must do the following things: uh, determine appropriate measures for assessing, develop more adequate instrument for measuring change related to OD, and consistently utilize more ignorance designed for their studies. Unit objects. After reading and this unit, you should be able to uh, describe an assessing organization's development, explain assessment of OD and changes in organizational assessment of OD, understand change in organizational performance, assess the impact of OD. Organization assessment notes. Organization assessment as is a concern the providing feedback to the OD and party practitioner uh, and organization members about the progress and the impact of a intervention implemented. The evaluations process considers both the implementation success of the intended interventions and a long-term result in a produce. The factors which influences choice of OD of an OD and interventions to fit the best in the situations for implementations. Selections of an OD interventions is influenced by the following three factors: applicability, mm, uh, feasibility, and acceptability. Applicability. Here, the applicability means the potentials of a given interventions to yield desired result, and this is possible when an interventions is capable through uh, enough and to address the real uh, problem and holds good solutions of the problem and diagnosed in order to ascertain applicability of an interventions is to examine the likely positive and negative uh, consequences associated with it. And what follows from above is the need and for evaluating one's client system and with great care, and a concern before actually introducing any interventions. Then only assessment can be made regarding applicability, feasibility. The meaning of a feasibility is the suitability of an interventions to suit to the client system. It means the selections of any interventions and must be done very carefully, then only we can reach to the outcome. Accessibility, whatever applicability and feasibility and interventions carries has no use unless it is to acceptable unto the client and system. That's why we have to be very careful in selecting any interventions. It means that to yield and desired and resulted and interventions and needs to accepted by its client and system experience and shows that an interventions is likely be less acceptable unless sufficient preparatory work has been done and before introducing it. Therefore, critical analyzing is required in order to undertake an assessment program, and for the interventions introduced it is necessary and to identifying the basic components of assessment. They are as follows: objectives. The objective is just synonymous to mission and vision, goals or aims. At the initial stages of the main changes program, the objectives of an assessment it is to gain a knowledge and insight and the efficiency and design of the main change program, and the objectives of intermediate evaluations at regular intervals are to establish benchmark worth or value. mm, Worth or value for the focal variable, which can be an individual objective situations or a program. Management, measurement, psychometric and test. And estimations of worth can also be made, mm, can also be made by other methods, and which are qualitative, like a interview and observational methods, uh, simulations, and objective techniques. Comparisons, the data obtained from the measurement can be compared from the data and measured from the other differences. Conclusion, after comparison is made, it is arriving at a judgment. Criteria of assessment: efficiency measurement of evaluations and determine wastage of explore and ways to uh, efficiency evaluations. Interventions evaluation, it is a concern with the examinations of the transformational process. Effectiveness evaluations, it is a assessment of outcomes and from a given set of inputs and through process and the outcome represent and the objects from the which organizational effectiveness is assessed and some